So you gave a Linux distro a shot, played around with it, and you're finding this Penguin OS to be not so bad. But one of two things isn't convincing you to stay: kernel level anti-cheat games, or you still want or need to use Adobe software. Adobe is notorious for not having Linux support, but that won't be the case for much longer. Introducing Winboat, a program that runs Windows apps on Linux with seamless integration. I know I'm a little late to making a video on Winboat, but today I'm putting it to the test with two Adobe apps I use for every single video. So let's set Winboat up. With Winboat installed, I stuck with Windows 11 Pro by default, gave it half my cores for the sake of recording, gave it a little over half my RAM, and gave it roughly 100 gigabytes of space. If your instance isn't running, you just click a play button around here. This gives you a list of programs installed within your Winboat install, and you can configure more settings here, whether that's giving it more or less cores, RAM, enabling experimental settings, etc. Alright, we're in Winboat. I'm also in my instance of Windows 11 with it. So let's go and install a new web browser. Alrighty, we got Brave installed. To install new programs, you just download them like you would in Windows. And if you do install new software, it'll be located in the Apps tab in Winboat. Thanks to this response on this thread on GitHub, I'm finally able to get both Adobe Premiere and Photoshop in my shared folder in Winboat. So I decided to save this moment to open these programs. Oh wait.
Stupid.
Instead of blindly opening these programs expecting them to work on the first try, like you see me do, you need to install a few different versions of Visual C++ to get them to actually launch. If I recall correctly, I downloaded 2012, 2017, and 2019. If you're still missing something, 2010 or 2015 should have them. Then again, with my Adobe versions being 2020, it might be a little different if you use current day versions of these programs. Alright, it was just a simple Visual C++ not being installed error, so let me go ahead and restart this machine and see if it works. Okay, now the moment of truth. It does work. Dude, there's no way this fucking worked. Oh shit, it does. Oh my goodness, it actually fucking works. Hold up. Before we get too carried away, let's just create an image real quick. Man, I can't believe this actually fucking worked. That is crazy. Let's also see if Premiere Pro also opens now. Okay, it still doesn't work. Alright, I downloaded the 2012 I downloaded the 2012 one, and let's see if it works now.
Nope.
So close. Wait a minute, hold up. This is weird. What the heck? So it's still launched. I tried to download the 2017 version of this. And let's reopen it, maybe? Without issue? Just maybe. No errors so far? So far so good? So far so good? It actually fucking worked. That is amazing. We can finally use Premiere Pro and Photoshop running underneath Linux. Technically speaking, because it's still running underneath Windows, underneath Linux. So let's try to get some files and let's try to test it out a little bit. So I got some videos imported. Now let's see how it actually plays back. Alright, we're in Winboat. I'm also in my instance of Windows 11 with the playback. So let's go and install a new web browser. Yeah, let's not. So as you guys can tell, the playback is very weird audio wise, but maybe that's not the case when it's actually rendered. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. We're gonna just render out the portion where I actually speak and see if those issues are still very much there. Even with giving this VM only 4 cores, it's still rendering very quickly. And with that, let's see if that's the case. Alright, we're in Winboat. I'm also in my instance of Windows 11 with it. So let's go and install a new web browser. So when it's actually rendered out, it's not choppy at all. So clearly, the playback in Premiere Pro is very choppy, but that doesn't reflect what the final video will be like. And to show this is still running underneath Linux, as you guys can tell, I can clearly access all these settings right here. I can show my notifications in there, calendar, its start menu. Yeah, clearly it's still running underneath Linux, but this is just to show it's not clickbait, no gotchas, no nothing. This is actually legitimate. Now with Photoshop, it's kind of looking a little more pixelated. It's definitely not as sharp, but I can still definitely work on stuff within Photoshop. Yeah, I can still apply all these effects, like the outer glow you can see. I can resize stuff. Clearly I can resize stuff. Well, first off, let me go ahead and save this. But, I can't save. What? I don't know if I can save it. That'd be kind of problematic. I mean, the whole point of creating something in Photoshop is to save it, share it or use it for something. But yeah, press and save as. Yeah, it's not letting me do anything. So that's very unfortunate. I don't know if it's just a bug. Well, obviously it will be a bug. But I'm not sure why it just won't let me save. That is really strange. Hold the phone. I think I actually found somewhat of a fix for this. So going into export as, it'll show up with this menu. I never actually used export as, but yeah, if I just do that, I'll just override this one. It actually still exports it. So this is still very much a work in progress thumbnail. Of course, it's not going to be the final thumbnail, but just for demonstration purposes and for transparency, I was able to find a workaround. I don't know why save and save as don't work underneath Winboat for Photoshop. At least I found kind of a fix. I also went back to try to work more on this video, but as you guys can tell, you can't even hear the audio anymore in Premiere Pro. I've tried restarting the program, restarting Winboat, well, the instance of Windows within Winboat, and yeah, nothing. Doesn't matter which part of the video I'm at, it still doesn't play the audio. I've tried muting and unmuting the track, importing, hold on, let me re-import this real quick. Doesn't matter if I import new audio, you still can't hear it no matter what. So it's quite unfortunate. There's still some bugs, of course, but obviously this program is still in beta. There's plenty of things that the devs need to fix, but overall, it's really not bad for being in beta. Despite all the fixes I need to do, I'm pretty confident in the Winboat team to be able to fix everything that's wrong with running Adobe programs and other software underneath Winboat and make it the ultimate software for Linux users to use. Despite all the bugs I ran into with Winboat and Adobe apps, this is the closest Linux users have ever been to running real Adobe software without booting into Windows. Massive shout out to the Winboat devs for making this possible. Once GPU acceleration and pass-through arrive, Winboat has the potential to become one of the most important tools in the Linux ecosystem, especially as companies continue refusing to port their software. Just keep in mind, this video only covers the Adobe testing portion and isn't a reflection of the final product. Regardless, I'm very excited to see what this team brings in the future. One more thing before you click off the video. Thank you all so much for helping me become a YouTube partner. It's surreal to achieve this after 9 months of returning to content creation. Every view, like, comment, share, subscription doesn't go unnoticed. You're all amazing. I'm JustSomeTechie. Catch you all in the next one. See ya then.